in welcoming Dr. Hoffman back to campus.
Well, thank you, Serena, for that introduction. I'm both intimidated and honored and grateful to be back at Greenwich Academy, where I spent 12 formative years of my life. And I want to start by congratulating the teachers for shepherding, the parents for loving, and most especially the class of 2026 for persevering in completing this chapter of your life. I've returned to GA only a few times, including a joyful 30th reunion last month, and to watch my little sister graduate in 2004 with Oprah Winfrey as the commencement speaker. Now that's a tough act to follow. Oprah's inspirational speech about daily gratitude culminated in her signature surprise for the graduating seniors. Look under your chairs, where you'll find your own beautifully bound gratitude journal. And I'm sorry, I'm a physics professor, not a billionaire, so the best I can do is to say, look under your chairs, you'll find an electron. So. Though I didn't get one of Oprah's journals, I took her wise words to heart, and I closed every day for almost 20 years after hearing her speech by saying out loud 3 things I felt grateful for. That habit of gratitude from Oprah's address in 2004 was the most important lesson I learned at GA. So what more wisdom could I possibly impart to you? Let me tell you 7 lessons I learned while chasing big dreams and running across a big country. When I was 9 years old, I declared that someday I would be a math professor at Harvard, an Olympian, and a mom. With the benefit of a strong all-girls education, it never occurred to me that then, already 350 years after Harvard's founding, there had not yet been a single woman professor in either its math or physics departments. Even more concerningly, I have 0 recollection of any particular sport I might have had in mind for my Olympic dream, given that I was a chubby bookworm who couldn't run a single lap around the GA pond, where I was often sent when I could not sit still in my lower school classroom. My multiple sports were characterized by intense effort and unremarkable outcomes. On the GA basketball team, I once became confused after halftime and scored in the wrong basket. In field hockey and lacrosse, I played second fiddle to another more athletic Jenny who received all the passes and all the cheers. I was cut from JV ice hockey because I never did figure out how to stop on skates. I'll spare you the lesson about conservation of momentum. At Harvard, I gained the freshman 15 on a diet consisting largely of M&Ms, then walked onto the rowing team. In graduate school, I did an Ironman triathlon. But I have few clear memories of the next sleep-deprived decade of my life as I started a career and a family. In 2016, finally tenured in the physics department at Harvard and blessed with 3 healthy, potty-trained kids, I began to emerge from the fog, and my old, scattered athletic dreams converged into an all-consuming calling to run across the United States of America. Who was I to tackle such an audacious goal? I had no multi-day racing experience or shoe sponsorship or coach. Even a professional athlete would need extraordinary luck to string together many consecutive weeks of pounding the pavement all day long. Seasoned ultra-runners wrote me off. But every day for 30 years, I had chosen motion. I walked instead of taking an Uber. I biked instead of driving to work. I carried my own suitcase. I always took the stairs. Good luck comes to those who are prepared. So lesson 1, always take the stairs. In 2019, at age 41, I booked a one-way ticket to California and departed San Francisco City Hall at 4 a.m. on a chilly September morning, running east into the rising sun. I slogged through California's hot Central Valley and the thin air of Yosemite's Tioga Pass. I suffered sunburn through my clothes in the Nevada's desert and excruciating shin splints on its rumble-stripped highways. I struggled through the 70-degree daily temperature swings of Utah's high deserts. I was stalked by a mountain lion and fought 50-mile-per-hour headwinds through most of Colorado, and entered Nebraska in a fog so thick I couldn't see 100 feet in front of me. And that's when my GA classmate, your extraordinary coach, Sally Maloney, messaged me on my GPS tracker. "You may see me struggle, but you will never see me quit," which I repeated to myself endlessly through that afternoon and many afternoons until I got my 60 miles done each day. Lesson 2, find your mantra, a phrase you can repeat in your head when other voices are screaming, "Quit." Finally, as I crossed the Mississippi, I allowed myself to count the miles down instead of up, and to visualize the reunion with family and friends on the East Coast. But with just 1 week to go, I took a crooked step in eastern Ohio, my right knee buckled under me, and I couldn't get up. An MRI confirmed that after 2,500 plus miles, my run was over. I returned to the habit of gratitude that had buoyed me through so many tough years and wrote in my public journal. I shed some tears, to be sure, but mostly I want to reflect on my gratitude for this opportunity and everything that I have learned over the last 6 weeks. I'm proud that I ran over 2,500 miles in 42 days, which was harder and caused me to dig deeper than I had ever imagined possible. I'm grateful that I saw so much of America and have a new appreciation for our beautiful, diverse country. Cities, deserts, mountains, forests, mines, cornfields, cattle ranches, small towns, highways, country roads, mom and pop stores, and familiar chains that evolve from west to east. I am grateful for my beloved family who has supported me through this crazy adventure. I closed with my favorite quote by Hunter S. Thompson. "Life's journey is not to arrive at the grave safely in a well-preserved body, but to slide in sideways, totally worn out, shouting, 'Holy shoot, what a ride.'" Lesson 3, be grateful. I underwent knee surgery, scooched around my house on my butt for 6 weeks, and slowly started the process of learning to walk again. Then the world shut down for 18 months due to a global pandemic, and I had a lot of quiet time to reflect on the dream that I couldn't let go. Between work deadlines and meetings, I planned a new route from LA to Boston, and I vowed to use every lesson painfully learned in order to come back stronger. By spring 22, I was ready to train and try again. I made reservations, signed crew contracts, and headed out for 200-mile training weeks again, until one day in mid-August, I suddenly couldn't run faster than an 11-minute mile. Eventually, another MRI revealed that my hamstring was hanging together by a few thin fibers and required another 12 weeks off. I began a mind-numbingly boring 3 months of swimming, arms only, while I visualized healing and kept dreaming. By January 2023, I began to train again and plan for another fall start. I woke at 3 a.m. to run 30 miles before work at 9 a.m. I walked all day in my office on a treadmill under my desk while I worked. In June, I completed a race beyond my wildest dreams. In 24 hours, I ran 145 miles around an indoor track in Milwaukee and secured a spot as one of 6 American women to compete at the Ultra Running World Championships in Taiwan later that year in December 2023. Lesson 4, pick yourself up and try again. But now I faced an agonizing choice. While ultra running is not an Olympic event, here at age 45, I had a chance to fulfill my oldest childhood dream, to compete in a Team USA uniform on an international stage. But I also had unfinished business to chase a world record in my home country. It seemed impossible that I could do both in one season, so I reluctantly canceled my crew and postponed the Trans-USA run again to refocus on Team USA. But in August, fate took another turn. A close friend whose running had inspired me for many years was rear-ended in a devastating car accident. He was airlifted to the nearest hospital and underwent emergency surgery for internal bleeding. His pelvis was shattered, and it seemed unlikely that he would ever walk again, let alone fulfill his own dream to run across Australia. I spoke to him on the phone, and he clarified my path forward. Seize the day, because you never know what tomorrow will hold. I contacted Team USA managers and told them honestly that while I would still fulfill my commitment to travel to Taiwan and run with a team, my heart was telling me to prioritize the Trans USA World Record. Lesson 5, seize the day. With just 2 weeks' notice, I scrambled to remake travel reservations, finalize a route, and most importantly, to secure a new crew from scratch. Although it would be my body on the line, I needed the best possible teammates to solve every problem that would inevitably arise. Under intense time pressure before the planned start, I was lucky to assemble 6 incredible women, fellow parents and runners and students, to do the grueling work of driving the RV, handling the logistics of maps and food and laundry, and also leapfrogging me in a smaller vehicle throughout each day to hand off nutrition, clothing changes, headlamp batteries, and words of encouragement at 3 to 5 mile intervals. Each of these women would serve for 1 to 2 weeks at a time, then hand me off to the next team member with fresh energy. I reserved the RV in Los Angeles to begin the new route to Boston. But when we arrived, my crew spent 14 fruitless hours driving around Southern California looking for a pedestrian-safe road out of LA. All the viable roads had been washed out by Hurricane Hilary a few weeks prior. After a few hours of tearful conversation, my crew pivoted on a dime and drove overnight to San Francisco while I slept in the RV so that I could still start at dawn. Despite 4 years of painful and festering memories, I would follow the same route I had started and failed in 2019. I would chase my own ghost for almost 2,600 miles, then hope to leave that ghost behind in eastern Ohio. Lesson 6, be ready to pivot. In this third Trans USA attempt, I suffered familiar challenges and new crises, but also moments of joy and beauty and friendship and teamwork. We handled sunburn and shin splints, weather, stray dogs, mud, near misses with speeding vehicles, bridge closures, map inaccuracies, battery failures, and even an RV crash. As I crossed the penultimate state in New Jersey, running on fumes, I was paced by 2 Greenwich Academy classmates, Sally and Jeanette, who kept me awake and moving forward positively. Another GA classmate joined on FaceTime. And then suddenly, in the darkening evening of day 48, there were lights flashing and horns blaring as a police escort arranged by a friend surrounded me through Fort Lee to the George Washington Bridge. It was a perfect, clear fall night with lights reflecting and rippling on the Hudson River from skyscrapers above. As our pack streamed down the final 12-mile River Greenway, I picked up followers like the Pied Piper, strangers and friends from all eras of my life, more classmates from Greenwich Academy, college rowing, current and former students, scientific collaborators, and my own children. And as I finally touched the steps of New York City Hall, breaking the world record by over a week after a lifetime of dreaming, I thought, every single human deserves a magical moment like this, surrounded by so much love. Through red states and blue states, I was helped by many kind Americans. In Nevada, on the longest 169-mile stretch of lifeless desert, an elderly man drove past, then reversed and asked whether I needed a lift and where I was going. When I responded, New York, his face fell. He shook his head sadly and said, "Oh, that's too far for me." The night shift workers at a Utah cement factory gave us reflective safety gear for the winding road ahead. Strangers treated me to iced coffee in rural general stores. A Nebraskan learned that I was eating 8 eggs a day, so she rushed into her backyard to pack up a dozen fresh from her own chickens. Iowa farmers towed our car out of roadside ditches twice. An Indiana mom let this sweat-soaked and bug-spattered runner use her clean bathroom. Ohio farmers inspired me with their hard work and lulled me to sleep in the RV with their John Deere trucks running through the night to finish the harvest before an approaching storm, so that food would make it to tables in America's coastal cities. And this brings me to the final, most important lesson for me and for you all as you prepare to leave this beautiful enclave of Greenwich. Lesson 7, find your own way to meet your fellow Americans. Step out of your comfort zone. Talk to people who are different than you, different in their background, their appearance, their interests, and their beliefs. Listen, watch. Imagine yourself in their shoes. We live in a sadly polarized time, and too many are too quick to demonize others with different information and different viewpoints. The haunting melody and lyrics written by Sting during the height of the Cold War seems relevant again today, albeit even closer to home. There is no monopoly in common sense on either side of the political fence. We share the same biology, regardless of ideology. Believe me when I say to you, I hope the Russians love their children too. But I know that red state Americans and blue state Americans love their children too. I have seen it, one step at a time, through 3,000 miles of mountains and deserts, forests and prairies, highways and dirt roads, cities and ranches and farmlands, and varying political yard signs. It gives me hope that you, the newest generation of American adults, can begin to bridge the divide and rebuild empathy towards every human who is living in this beautiful land we call the United States of America. You, the GA class of 2026, are among the most driven and the most privileged young adults. Your voices will be powerful. But to use your power for good, you must go out of your way to meet and empathize with your diverse fellow Americans. So in conclusion, follow your dreams. Keep searching until you find them, and never settle. Be grateful, especially in the hardest of times. Take the stairs. Good luck comes to those who are ready. Find your mantra. Repeat it often when other voices are screaming quit. Seize the day. You never know what tomorrow will bring. Get up and try again. Be ready to pivot. And I wish you the best of luck as you find your own way to meet your fellow Americans and to listen, learn, and love them. Congratulations.